right now, when I look at a team like A&M, that is a national championship caliber club.
Eric, do it.
Check.
Hey, everyone. I hope this makes the rewind.
Hey, everyone.
TexAgs.
Cringiest intro to a rewind ever.
I didn't know it started.
TexAgs. No, I already started. You're on. That's what happens here on the rewind. I'm David Nuno. That's Nick Savage, and he's Eric Casares. Gentlemen, let's go around the room. It was a fun show, Nick. Talked a lot of Aggie baseball.
Yeah, rightfully so after they sawed them off in Austin, beating the Longhorns 9-2. So well-deserved in my opinion.
Hey, is the principal in the room? Because you got...
Principal?
You kind of talk like you were at the library there. You're like, yeah, and they won 3-2. Like
that was my Sports Center broadcaster voice. I apologize.
Oh, it was good. I liked it.
Thanks.
I was going to encourage it more often, like in public, like when you talk to people.
Okay.
Eric, what did you think about not only Aggie baseball, but we did talk a little Aggie basketball because we got a big one coming up.
Yeah, got a big one tonight versus Mississippi State. Got to get it done one way or another. Get some revenge. And like Obi was saying, that win that Florida had over Bama last night can only help our chances moving forward. So win, find a way to get in, and see how they do in Nashville.
Keep on winning. Olin Buchanan, go hour. He was fun. He's always fun. We had John Harris, Texans sideline reporter. He was good. We had recruiting country, Ryan Brauninger. He was tired, but he was happy. And we had Kendall Rogers, D1 baseball. He likes A&M baseball. He likes them a lot. They're a national championship contending team. That's what he said on the show. That and more, check it. I don't know where the season's going to end up for Aggie baseball. I don't know if that means a national championship, a super regional, whatever. Maybe what. But right now, when I need a little bit of excitement and something to be super proud of, we've got a couple of programs. And I'm going to start it off with baseball after their big win yesterday that just are making things fun again. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuno. He's Olin Buchanan. OB, I know you were keeping up with the game through the thread. And, man, it's the fun to know we're the better team.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like going into every series, like while many of us have sometimes a little BAS, right? Like we can find ways to lose in our minds before a game even starts, right? And I still suffer from that, from all of my sports. Houston teams, Real Madrid, Texas A&M. I go through that. But with this team this year so far, it just feels like it doesn't matter the scenario. I feel very comfortable because of what we've seen in a small sample set, really great pitching and really great offense.
And here's the deal. A&M scored 9 runs last night at Texas, which is not a great hitter's park. At least that's the way I remember it when I was over there. 9 runs, and I don't think, from following the thread, that they had a particularly good offensive night. And let me explain. I think they were struck out 12 times.
Yeah.
So sometimes left some guys on. And that's going to happen. But you struck out 12 times in a non-hitter's park and scored 9 runs.
Yep.
I think that's just another example of how just incredibly powerful and productive. And with your one of your leading hitters getting beamed in the first
inning. Yeah. And I was worried he wasn't going to come back in.
Yeah, what a tough guy that guy.
Yeah. And by the way, this is with Braden Montgomery just freaking like first at bat, first home run of the game. Let's go. Like that's what he's done. Was it 3 out of 4 games? I think it is. Happy for Mike Evans because I think it's awesome. His story will probably end at Tampa, right? And I think it's cool to spend in today's world of sports to spend your entire career at one place where you've won a Super Bowl, by the way. But man, I sure wanted him in the Texans uniform.
You weren't alone, and I want to make sure I say this in the most respectful way. I didn't, and I know people hear that like, "Oh, you suck, John." No, listen. It wasn't so much I didn't want Mike Evans. I didn't want the Texans to pay $25 million plus per year for a wide receiver. I just feel like. If the Texans were one player away, if they just really felt like, man, CJ needed to have this one dude to throw the ball to, and that was going to change everything. But we've got some holes at other spots. And in fact, holes in which we've got to spend some money or draft capital to go get a player at other spots. So it really had nothing to do with Mike per se. It had everything to do with making sure financially you were doing the right things. Now, did I allow myself at certain points to think about an offense of C.J. Stroud throwing to Tank, Nico, and Mike? Yeah, I did. But it didn't last long because I also knew that you were gonna have to pay a Maserati price. And even though you have the money to be able to do it, you weren't going to be able to pay for the other things that you needed to do. And this is also a wide receiver class that is just chock full of studs. There's studs everywhere. And so you're eventually going to have to pay Nico. Eventually going to have to pay Tank. And when I say the eventuality for Nico is a lot sooner than he's going to his 4th year. So you're going to have to start paying Nico big dollars if you're going to keep him starting in 25. Well, if all of a sudden you've got a bunch of money wrapped up in any receiver, whether it's Mike or otherwise, you just can't do it. So it came down to me about just fiscal responsibility for the team.
Hassan Longstreet. Let's. He said his date recently, right?
Yeah, and he's got top schools. And if you're a premium subscriber, you read Jason's report and his long-form article about Hassan yesterday. But this is a kid that we've been tracking. He showed up to junior day in February, and we have been tracking kind of his movements and intent ever since because the vibe that we had gotten just off talking to sources out west and the vibe we had gotten off of his recruitment was, kind of maroon and white tinted coming off that visit. And this is a kid that Colin Klein has targeted directly, and we've been able to piece that together. Like, this is Colin Klein's guy in this class. So it's always interesting, and I think I'm going to write a recruiting article about this. When you have a new staff come in, David, and there's not a lot known about Colin Klein as a recruiter. He's still a younger guy, but he was at Kansas State, so we don't know a lot about how he's going to recruit elite players to the Southeastern Conference. And I want to go through and just kind of examine piece by piece these coaches as recruiters and what do we know, what do we think, how do we think they'll fare? Tony Girardetti, we think he's going to be good, but he's been involved with some big-time recruitments as an analyst, but now he's a position coach. Yep. So I do kind of want to unpack all that in a long-form article at some point this spring. I may do it later this month. But this Longstreet is a kid that Colin Klein has directly targeted as his guy that he wants in this 2025 class, and he's one of the best quarterbacks on the West Coast, one of the best overall prospects in the state of California. And what have we seen recently with top California quarterback prospects? Where do they go?
They go to the West Coast, don't they?
No.
Where do they go?
Where's Bryce Young from? California.
Yeah.
Where's C.J. Stroud?
California. They've gone to Alabama. They've gone to Ohio State.
And we're seeing a mass exodus of –
Caleb Williams was California as well?
That's from New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah. What we're seeing is a exodus of California talent across all sports to the big conferences out east. And maybe that was part of – I don't know how it could be part of, but maybe that was some kind of the thinking when USC and UCLA decided to go to the Big Ten.
Yeah, just when you think the SEC is going to get a little easier because State and Ole Miss are down, they're starting to figure it out a little bit. Ole Miss was hitting 180 a couple weeks ago. They're now hitting around 270 as a team. That tells you how red hot they are. It was only a matter of time. But, Mississippi State gets a big midweek win against Southern Miss. Again, they haven't played a great schedule on the weekend. So we'll kind of see what they do in conference play. But again, I'm seeing signs of them improving. They've blown a couple of games late. The next day they bounced back with dominant wins. That did not happen last year. They've also improved greatly on the mound, which is kind of their bugaboo last year. You think back to the A&M series, if their pitching is in garbage against A&M last year, they probably not only win that series, they're probably knocking A&M out of a regional. So they've shored that up a little bit here in the early going.
All right, Kendall. So with SEC play just ahead, what do you think? The SEC is so loaded every year, but I just feel like, especially the top 10 this year, what do you think, man?
What I'm thinking is at the top of that league is going to be outrageously good. I think if you finish in the top 4 or 5 in that conference, you could be a national champion. And right now, when I look at a team like A&M, that is a national championship caliber club. They play pretty good defense. They seem to be locked in with a really good kind of mental approach. The pitching staff's getting the job done. The offensive lineup has weapons all over the place. So I guess on one hand, A&M looks like a national championship caliber club. On the other, the SEC can humble you real quick, and I think Jim is going to stress that as they get ready for that Florida series. So there's not a team out there that can humble you quicker than a team like Florida, who, by the way, hasn't been great early on, but they've got talent, and they'll be at home in a couple of weeks in Gainesville.
Eric, sing what the people should do.
Well, first of all, I was going to say there needs to be a plethora of y'all's fans that need to subscribe, rate, share, comment. I was, giving Brownie a little bit of shout out because apparently he says that word a lot. So you said you want me to sing. I don't know if I can sing for you today,
all right,
David.
Well, Nick will do it tomorrow. He promised me already. We'll see you next time.